Hello, and welcome to Recent Activity, your new favorite entertainment review podcast that attempts to cover every film, every show, all at once. I am your co-host, Andrew Morgan. With me, as always, is a man who loves Denzel so much he wants to have like 10,000 of his babies. It's Mr. Shane Beauregard. How are you, sir?
I'm good, sir.
Is that not justified? Is that not accurate?
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
I would do it. Absolutely.
That still happen these days? Because he's got to be, what now? Early 70s? I don't even know.
Guess what?
Did you look it up?
Funny you bring that up.
Okay.
No, we had a dinner conversation about the Equalizer, and we all guessed Denzel's age. And I said he's got to be 68, and the other guesses were 61, 64. And guess what, sir? He was 68 on the dot.
Ooh,
I got it right. Yeah,
wow.
He's 68. Yeah.
That's insane, because now that we're talking about it, because I haven't exactly done like some kind of Denzel retrospective in my head or anything, but I'm trying to think of like what I saw him in first. And based on my age, you're a little bit older than me. And obviously when we were kids, we're not exactly sitting around like, hey, when did Glory come out? Like, are we sitting in the movie theater watching Glory? So my guess is something stupid like him and Russell Crowe.
Well, the one with Russell Crowe. Yeah. I forgot what that was
dumbass
called, though.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think now. And I don't know if that was the first. I shudder to think that it was Philadelphia.
Oh, Virtuosity?
Virtuosity? Yeah, it might be something stupid like Virtuosity. Let me, because obviously he popped with like Saint Elsewhere, right? He was on Saint Elsewhere for a while, and then it was like Glory, Mo Better Blues, that movie Ricochet. I don't know if you've seen Ricochet. You've seemed like a person who had seen Ricochet.
I have, yes, I have.
I didn't watch Malcolm X when it first came out, because I was 10. And then we're getting into Pelican Brief, Philadelphia, Crimson Tide, and then Virtuosity. So it might be something stupid like Virtuosity. And that is a terrible, terrible thing to do. Probably the first one I saw in the theater with him, though, is I saw He Got Game in the theater. So between that and Remember the Titans, Training Day, that's more my era Denzel.
Gotcha. It's funny you bring up Glory. That's the second vehicle I ever saw him in. Not in the theater, obviously, but the first thing I ever saw him in was A Soldier's Story, which was 1984. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie before.
I haven't.
A great movie about a death that happens in an all-black platoon in the Army, and they send an investigator in there to see what happened.
Right.
It's a great like murder mystery whodunit, and he was part of an ensemble cast.
Okay.
Great movie, by the way. But yeah, Glory, it's funny you mentioned that because that's what I based his age on. I'm like, man, Glory's like came out in 86 and he, that's like what, 35, 40? I don't know how long ago it was. A long time ago.
Yeah.
So he's got to be 68. But the first, I think, theater movie I probably saw him in was kind of like you. It was probably in the theater. I didn't see Malcolm X. It was probably the Pelican Brief.
Yeah.
That I saw him in, but that's the same era as Crimson Tide and all that kind of stuff.
95. He just crushed.
Yeah, Courage Under Fire. I saw that in the theater. That was a good movie. Fallen. Yeah, so he which was a great movie, John Goodman. So he was in his bag from like 93.
Oh, yeah.
Well, pretty much 92 to like 98, really.
Yeah, just a straight heater. Like there is so little bad films here. It's insane. And yeah, you didn't even mention like The Siege. That's when it starts to slow down. I remember seeing The Hurricane, Remember the Titans, Training Day. I saw probably most of his stuff from here on out in the theater, though we will get into it. I have not seen one of the Equalizers. So I guess this is kind of my thing about Denzel is that I don't know if Denzel has the same grip on me or that he just changed his style of movie where I'm less encouraged to go see it. Like, he was in Tragedy of Macbeth, which that's not his fault that I didn't really grasp onto that movie. That's more of a Shakespearean thing where I've never really grasped onto a lot of those. And that was, just a couple of years ago. So I guess maybe I'm talking out of my ass, but he had that one movie that I want to say he directed, right, with Michael B. Jordan last year that was trying to be in the Oscar conversation too or something, and that didn't work out. So I don't know. He's losing a little bit of steam, but he should. The man's, as we noted, in his late 60s. So And it's a weird thing to where I'm less comparing him to, I don't know who he's on the Meryl Streep of the male side, trying to be the perpetual Oscar player like a Tom Hanks or something. And instead we're sitting here like him and the John Wick series, like it's a more of a comp when the fact that we're talking now about the Equalizer 3, which was number 1 at the box office over the weekend.
Yeah, it was.
Again, Labor Day is never a good time to have a movie come out. And I'm very impressed. I want to get to kind of how the box office worked and everything else. But just to set the table, what we're going to talk about today, we're definitely going to talk about Shane's experience seeing the Equalizer 3 with Denzel Washington and how much money it made over the weekend compared to like its other predecessors there, and especially with a Labor Day, man, I'm telling you, it's just amazing numbers. We'll check in with stuff like about how Barbie's doing compared to last year's huge run for Top Gun Maverick, and if that will equal out. Shane's going to update us on Justified City Primeval, and then we'll wrap up with some movie reviews that hurt my head. So there are some positives at the end. There's one in particular that I just need clarity on, and it might have to come from the audience, because Shane hasn't seen this movie either. Shane is gonna try to get out to see this one later. So just to tease that one, there is definitely a movie that is getting great reviews that again hurt my brain. This is the resurgence of my same feelings I had with Asteroid City earlier on in the year, which Shane can slowly attest to my headache with that movie because he hasn't even gotten through it, but he tried. And then I don't know, the movie's Bottoms, guys. I'll give it that way. That movie, it's a very specific type of beast. I really want to get into it, but I will let you have the floor, sir. Let's get into the box office stuff over the weekend. Let's get into Equalizer 3. So let's set the table here. I sent this to you because I found it to be absolutely amazing. What is more consistent, Gravity or the Equalizer in the movie theaters on opening weekend? Because I sent you this stat of the first movie opened at 34 million domestic. The second film opened at 36 million domestic. And the third movie, which I thought between Labor Day, like, again, it didn't have a lot of competition, but also this movie didn't get a lot of fanfare. Like, yeah, the trailer was out, but I don't know. A lot of people were like, yeah, I rushed out to see Equalizer 3. It got 34 million again. So, and currently, I think between overseas and what it currently is domestically, I want to say that's in the 70-something million totals right now after its first long weekend. That ain't bad, Shane. That's pretty impressive. Denzel still got it when he dials it up here. Was it worth the effort in terms of Equalizer 3, and how does it compare to the others? And is this the end for Denzel and Equalizer?
Yes. First, I love the Equalizer series. The first one kind of came out of nowhere and was a great kind of action in the John Wick world as far as the violence and him being this badass assassin kind of ex-CIA guy. And the first one was very enjoyable. Second one, I'll admit, wasn't as good as the first one. It kind of took a step back. It's kind of forgettable. So I was all aboard for this one because, again, I love Denzel Washington. I could watch him do really anything.
Yeah.
But you're right. There wasn't a lot of marketing for this movie. The trailers were out, but they didn't really push this movie like I thought they would. But I will say for a trilogy, it was worth it in the end. The plot, if there was one, it's very it's really razor thin.
Yeah.
I mean, razor thin.
Okay.
I went and saw it Thursday, like at a 3:30 showing, and the theater was about half full, surprisingly, for a pre-work, everyone getting out to go see it.
Sure.
It was well attended. So you have his character, Robert McCall. He ends up in Italy, which is a whole other thing because they don't tell you how he ended up there or what he's doing there. He's just kind of off the grid in Italy. And once you kind of find out what he's doing there, it doesn't make really any sense. Okay.
Okay.
So it's one of these stories where he kind of gets embedded into the town that he's in, and the town loves him, and he becomes one of the locals there, and he's fighting the mafia in this movie. He's protecting the village from the mafia.
Right.
That's pretty much the whole kit and caboodle for the movie.
Sure.
action scenes and the set pieces of him like dispatching the mafia were awesome. Like just grade A action. Really fun to see him in his bag. I don't want to say it seems like he wasn't trying in this film, but even so, he just comes off as like low key great in this film. This series is it's weird. It's like, are you really trying, Denzel? And it's like, oh, he pulled it off. You know what I mean? You get a little reuniting with Dakota Fanning, who is in Man of Fire, which is one of my favorite Denzel movies. Directed by one of my favorite directors outside of Quentin Tarantino, Tony Scott, rest in peace.
Yeah.
So you get a little reunion between those two, but Dakota Fanning's only in it. She plays like an accountant in the CIA, so he kind of ropes her into coming to Italy to help him with this. And there's a reason for it, and I don't want to spoil it for you. No spoilers here.
Okay.
That made a little sense, but her character really wasn't needed.
Right.
Yeah, overall, it was a good third. It was better than the second one. It's about 2 hours long, just under, but it's paced very well. Like what I'll say about the series, it's not boring. You know what you're in for. If you like movies like John Wick and stuff in that world, or Elk or whatever, it's worth your time. You're not going to get bored, right?
Okay.
But I did have questions when this movie was over. I'm like, why was he there? His reason at the end for being there made no sense.
Right.
What he told Dakota Fanning to do made even less sense than that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I thought the end, to be honest with you, was a little anticlimactic compared to the first two, where in the first one, if anyone's seen it, you get the Warehouse Home Depot Home Alone rigged scene where he's fighting the big boss. It is awesome.
Right.
And this one was so, the head of the mafia was so anticlimactic with that whole thing. I was like, oh, really? He dispatched everyone? Like, it just was anticlimactic. It kind of let me down just a little bit. Now, I do think this brings closure to the series. I don't think we'll see a fourth one, even though it's doing well in the theater. I think he's done with this character. It is a nice bookend to the series, and it ties a nice bow on his character and that whole storyline. So he kind of finishes it out. Well worth your time if you're an Equalizer fan. Again, I put it behind the first one, but ahead of the second one. So I had a good time.
All right. Yeah, it's so funny. The more you were kind of describing some of the plot and everything, the more I had like shades of how the Rambo series kind of petered out. Like in terms of, first you had the one where he's in Myanmar, right? Is that the current? I'm trying. It's former Burma, right? That's what Myanmar is. Okay. Yeah, geography nut. Sorry. So I remember I like that
lost
movie.
Half the audience.
I know. I like that one. And then there was Last Blood? Is that what they called it? That last terrible one? Because once you said like the Home Alone thing, I was like, oh yeah, that's what that reminded me of when I saw that one. Except this one, to its credit, is getting solid reviews, even including yours. This currently has a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 94% audience score. So, and last I saw on Letterboxd, I believe it was a 3.1. So that's pretty solid when you're talking entry number 3. And, unless this is the thing is we can't ever put a part 4 out, right? Because with John Wick, the third one felt like, okay, yeah, they're probably going to do a fourth, but wow, that's a flex considering the third one was not that strong. So somebody would have to come up with something like John Wick 4 and how impressive it was to kind of go forward with this story, I would imagine. Is that about right?
Yeah, it would need to be something spectacular. Like they would need to come up with something like a John Wick 4. And honestly, the way they ended it, it would have to be a hell of a script is all I'm saying, because
right.
The way they ended this.
Yeah. So where would you put it? What's your rating on it?
Yeah, I give it a 3.5.
Okay.
Like again, it has its flaws, but in these kind of movies, you can overlook the plot points and some of the holes it has in the story because you watch it for his character and what he's going through and how he's going to stop, this mafia or whatever he's up against. You're just there for that.
Right. Okay. Sounds good. Obviously, with the minimal amount of options out there in the theaters over the weekend, and like we said, even going forward, we've belabor that to death. Maybe this has a chance to keep kind of chugging along for a while and making its money, especially because it does do well enough overseas as well. Because, like I mentioned, currently at 42 domestic and 26 international, if it keeps going on that pace, maybe we see, closer to 80 domestic, and if you get like 50, that puts it in like 130 territory by all said and done. That's pretty good for something for a third of something, especially with Denzel, like we said, getting up in age there. Looking at the box office, had a couple other questions for you. Barbie still chugging along. That made another 10.2 over the weekend, which is astonishing double digits, and coming in second, beating out Blue Beetle, Gran Turismo, and Oppenheimer in that order. Shane, we talked about when Barbie first came out, or like right before Barbie first came out, there were like, could this be this year's Top Gun Maverick, and could it get to those numbers? And we kind of soured on that initially. Let me put the numbers to you right now and see if we think it's still, because it's a lot closer than you think. I don't know if you've seen the numbers lately. So Top Gun Maverick ended at $1.495 billion, right? Huge number, which, if Avatar 2 didn't come out, we'd still be like fawning over that number, right? Barbie is currently at 1.383 billion. So it's still got another 0.1 billion. I mean, it's still a sizable number. So do you think that it can reach it by the time it leaves theaters?
Okay.
Especially with the limited options.
Here's what I'll say. I think it has an outside shot. And I say that because I believe Top Gun Maverick was like released and then they re-released it later. So it was released like 2 different times throughout the year.
Sure.
Now, if Barbie takes that tact where it's like it's out of the theaters for whenever it finishes run, like 6 months later, it's like, oh, we're going to re-release Barbie for such and such, make up an event, because I'm sure they will.
Oh, I could see like a Christmas with bonus footage or something.
Right. I think if they do that, it has a real shot, but based on his current pace, I'm going to say it doesn't reach Top Gun Maverick. I'm going to say it gets close, but it does not get there.
Because Maverick just kept staying in the movie theaters. That was part of its appeal. And obviously, that came out, Memorial Day weekend of that year,
yes,
right?
It did.
So it basically just did the whole summer run.
Whole summer.
Now, this was a mid-July release, I want to say, somewhere around there. So, man, for it to equal out, it would probably have to stay in theaters until October, and then start to do its windowing on home video and all that stuff for up until I wouldn't be shocked if they tried to like release this on Christmas Day on PVOD, or excuse me, or on streaming proper, because it would be on Max, I believe, because I think this is Warner Brothers, right? So that seems like a strategy that Warner Brothers would do, because I remember they made that big hoopla during the pandemic about wasn't it Wonder Woman 84 was a Christmas Day thing, and they're like, look at this, it's so awesome that it's a Christmas Day release, day and date, you can see it at home, blah blah blah. So I'd be like, tune in to Barbie, get everybody around, for the holidays, and have it come out right during the Christmas break where you could watch Barbie nonstop on Max. That seems like a move that makes a lot of sense, but that would mean it probably have to get pulled from the movie theaters somewhere around October, and then they can window it PVOD for a month or two and then drop it on Max. So, if we're talking that, then we're talking another 6 weeks, and it's still made, like I said, 10 million just over a weekend. I don't know how much it made over the last week. But God damn it, man. If it has another, 6 to 8, it would have to be probably in theaters for another 10 weeks to have a chance, I would think.
But it does have a shot, and it is being released for digital on Amazon Prime September 12th for digital release.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
hear. I heard them say that they were going to do it. I just didn't hear that there was a release date for it.
Yep.
That is interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to kill it. It's going to kill it
Yep.
right there. So, yeah, I think it's just going to fall short. I'm glad you found that, because I remember they made a big deal about that it was coming soon, but they didn't put a date to it. So that's fascinating, because I know they were doing like pre-orders and such, so that way you could do it. But yikes. Yeah, so that's a lot closer than we thought, though. And especially for a movie that nobody thought was going to be a, quote, 4-quadrant movie, you know? And you can make almost the same argument about Top Gun Maverick, that it's, you know, the male-centric side of this whole Barbie phenomenon, that if it was everybody, you know. But there are, you know, women who love Tom Cruise, and they love the original Top Gun. So it's not 4-quadrant. And Barbie proved that obviously there's a lot more men who are going to go see this movie too, and that's how it made its fortune. So good on them. Might fall a little short, but it'll be fun to watch to see exactly how short as time progresses. So also over the weekend, I happened to go to the movie theaters myself. I did not see Equalizer 3, but as teased, I did go to. I did. Well, we'll see, right? I did go see Bottoms, which is the new movie from Emma Seligman and Rachel Sennett. Rachel Sennett obviously is the star here, along with Ayo Edebiri from The Bear. Have you seen the trailer for this movie, Shane?
I have.
So so we're big fans of The Bear. So I would imagine that was part of the interest for you as much as it was for me. I am in love with Rachel Sennett. I am not gonna lie; she is amazingly talented, hot, whatever. I saw Bodies, probably mostly just for her, and this movie is no different. However, I did love the last time these two paired up. I really liked Shiva Baby. I watched that during the pandemic period at home, and I was riveted. That movie is claustrophobic and nail biting, just like for a small movie about basically just attending a Shiva ceremony, like at home Shiva ceremony with her, and basically she has like a lover that shows up that nobody knows about, like her sugar daddy basically, and it's this whole avoiding family and that subject and college and everything. Like it's just this like just twisty nervous movie, anxious movie that I really liked. And so I was like, all right, well, this seems like nothing like that, so it'll be interesting to see what these two do. And it went through the film festival circuit, got really positive reviews. I believe it went to South by Southwest, if not more ones than that, had its premiere there, and it's been platforming around. I know you said it's just coming around to your area, down in Hollywood South, and then but up here we had it premiere over the weekend. Before that, it was just New York and LA, and the reviews, Shane, are off the charts. 77 Metascore, 7.7 IMDb. The Rotten Tomatoes score is 95% with an audience score of 92%. And last I saw, the Letterboxd score was 4.3 out of 5, which, to tell people, that means they like this movie more than most, I think, all of the Indiana Jones movies. Just to put like just a thing out there, because I was just like, what has scores that high, right? And I was like, I think only Raiders has a higher score than Bottoms does. Okay,
wow,
this is the type of scores that are being put out there. And I saw this movie, and there's a well-attended movie. I saw it, I believe, on a Thursday night, like opening night preview kind of thing. And I don't fully know what I saw. And I will, like, I've been listening to some of my friends' podcasts about it. I've been listening to or reading some other reviews after I saw the movie. And you know what it gives me? I don't know if you had the same feeling about this particular movie that I'm about to bring up, but it made me feel like when I saw Napoleon Dynamite for the first time, where I was,
okay,
but not same for same, but basically one of these like smaller movies that got really good reviews that when I saw it, I was like, this is what everybody's raving about? You know, like one of those reactions.
I was gonna say it's funny you bring that up because the first time I saw Napoleon Dynamite, everyone was talking about it. So I'm like, all right, I'll go check it out. Didn't like it. Hated it the first time I saw it. I'm like, what the? This is what everyone's into?
Right.
Gave it some time. Loved it the second time through. Like, I got it the second or third time.
I have warmed to it over the years. Don't get me wrong. But like that first moment, and again, unfair to it a little bit. I did a double feature that day, and it was the first day I lived in California when I lived out there, and I saw Team America World Police and Napoleon Dynamite in the same day, and Team America just blows that fucking movie out of the water. I love Team America so much, but to be fair to my scoring and my feelings, I did see Napoleon Dynamite first. So it wasn't like I went in there thinking, oh, what's going to top Team America? And then I saw Napoleon Dynamite. It's one of those movies that you could tell, this particular movie, Bottoms, it's one of those movies that feels like they wanted to kind of come back to the dark comedy stuff. And you and I had this discussion last year with Do Revenge that came out on Netflix, where it feels like of a piece, where it's like, oh, we saw Heathers and, you know, some of these other dark comedies of like the 80s and 90s, your Jawbreakers, your, you know, name it, right? Like these dark comedies that happened over and over again, especially in the teen route, right? And I think it wanted to be so unique and so special that I think it just wasn't a movie, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Basically, if I was to explain the plot, like I could tell you what the plot's listed as. It's listed as 2 unpopular queer high school students start a fight club to have sex before graduation. That's kind of the nuts and bolts. But there is a whole thing about why they're starting the fight club that has nothing to do with the sex before graduation. And also, it's about who they're trying to have sex with, especially when they're trying to have sex with not other lesbians. So there's that, to where we're talking conversion and all other kinds of stuff that deal with that, and the hierarchy within it. But Shane, there's a whole plot line in this movie about how they're scared for the upcoming football game because the other team is known for not just like, oh, they're our rivals, like they're gonna beat us, right? Like they beat us every year. It's they murder people in the high school when they come into town. They rape and murder people in the high school and have been doing it for a long time, and no police presence at this game. Nobody seems to. Everything feels like a fever dream in this movie, which some people, this is one of those movies, and this is the great divide that happens with me sometimes, and I don't know if this is you too. I need something, and I watch a lot of bizarre shit, so I don't want people to think like, oh, he just doesn't get it, he wasn't in on the vibes. That's possible, or I don't want to hear that I'm getting older, that I have no funny bone left, because I'll tell you in a minute how much I love Joyride that I just caught up with, which is awesome, by the way. So this movie, there's nothing to grip to. There's no regular backbone to this movie. There's no lessons to be learned. There's no, like, we're doing this to show you that, like, you know, the patriarchy or this, like, there's no overarching theme. And again, somebody's going to go, that's why I liked it. And I'm going to have to just go, that's where we are apart here. Because, like, I can't just walk into a movie and be like, oh, yeah, they just throw jokes at you. Okay, well, do the jokes have any root into what the fuck is happening? Or are you just doing a bunch of weird shit and going, that was funny when that thing happened? I'm like, yeah, maybe in a vacuum, but like in the context of the movie, I'm not saying it was devoid of humor. I enjoyed some of this movie, but like, good God, like nothing was tethered to reality. Nothing seemed like, oh, this is clearly a revenge movie, or this is whatever. It's nothing. It's amorphous. It's like it doesn't do anything. And if you want to tell me that the whole thing, even if you just take literally, I read that plot off of IMDb, so clearly and it's the only one they have. But if you tell me the third act, which has a lot of it has nothing to do with what I just read, then what the fuck is this movie for? What are we doing? So that's what I don't get. And I don't get there's no rhyme or reason with the whole queer angle or lesbian or however these things are. And it's an all-female fight club. And I don't know, half of them seem to be lesbian or queer or whatever, which is, you know, I don't want to say statistically improbable, but like, it's a weird angle to go with on top of the fact that they're trying to convert other people. And again, I have no problem with that. I was raised in the 80s and 90s where it seemed like for sport, like sitcoms and, you know, comedy, they were like all about trying to convert gay people straight or, you know, straight people gay. That happened all the time. It was, you know, it doesn't hold up well. And it's surprising to see in, you know, trying to be a more progressive movie in 2023. But yeah, man, I just didn't get this movie, and I really don't get why it's so highly scored, especially with the critics. The no critics just went, this feels like a fucking fever dream that just doesn't make any sense. Because I said to my brother too, when I was trying to explain it to him, because I had just seen the movie, and I was like, you know, when you have a dream and you explain it to another person and it doesn't make any sense, and you're like, please never tell me your dreams ever again. That's what this, when I explain this movie to other people, feels like. Where it's like, yeah. No, there's this whole thing about a killer football team that's going to rape and kill them. And also these chicks who are in a fight club, but they don't really learn how to fight because nobody actually knows how to fight. And it's manic. It's completely manic. Well, so
you just sold me. You sold me. I'm there.
Right.
No, based on your description from IMDb, because I read the plot too, that seems right up my alley. Like, that's a Shane movie. You know, like,
right. Yeah.
Right. But, you know,
and the people involved, I was all the way in. I went in with the highest of expectations.
Right. So I'll go check it out. But you're right. There are some, how can I approach this delicately? There's a lot of movies where I'm like, that critics score really high in the audience, like you said, and I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, what the hell? Like, am I missing out on this whole movie? Like you said, like, I'm old, but I'm not that old. Like, I don't get it. And I think sometimes this is where I'm just going to like try to land this softly. I think movies with certain themes, or they're dealing with certain ethnic backgrounds, I honestly think sometimes critics are afraid to come down on some of these movies. Yeah. Because of backlash they may face on social media.
Or if you see it, and not to cut you off, but like I had that thought about how high the score is. Because if you're talking from a public scenario, when I was literally watching the movie, I could tell just by looking around and seeing couples together and stuff. It's a very, you know, LGBTQ friendly movie, and a lot of that was the audience. So if your target audience maybe is not me, and they're scoring it really high because they don't get a lot of movies that have their representation in that way or anything like that, maybe it gets a little more of a bump. And I totally get that. This is a lot, and especially for the critics, because comedies in general aren't for everybody. That's kind of how these things go. So even like the strongest, like I don't know what your favorite comedy of all time, but I could tell anybody to a person, I'm like, name me a fully critically approved comedy. I don't know of one. I can't tell you. Even like Airplane, which I think is on like the AFI top 100 movies of all time. I don't think if you took it like the score, like Bottoms is probably destroying it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah, no,
I don't get
it. I don't get that either. That's why it's hard to compare certain movies, like you said, like, for it to be ahead of like all the Indiana Jones movies. I'm like, he's got to take that with a grain of salt. You know, it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's recency bias on top of it.
Yeah, it's recency bias on top of it. But like I said, I think critics in today's age are afraid to criticize certain movies. Or I find this with certain directors, and I'm not getting into the whole thing, but it's like, yeah, didn't see that. I don't think so-and-so did a great job, but yet they're giving it high marks. I think they're just cautious in how they critique films these days.
Right. And again, I this was one of those movies where I was just like, is this the moment where I'm like too old You know, I ever have that because you're a little bit older than me. So I don't know if you've had it to where I'm like, this is just for the kids. Like they can have this one and I'm out. You know, you ever have one of those? Because to me, I was just like, it shook me to the core of like how little I liked about this movie being a comedy that I was just like, I need to watch other comedies right now to be like, do I like this? And I did. Like I said, I watched Joyride. That movie's good. That movie should have done better in theaters. I am mad at people that it's not a better, like a bigger score because it's got everything you would want. It like from like outlandish humor to like cool buddy, like road trippy stuff to like sentimental stuff, and actually ends in like this very sentimental and sensitive way that I really enjoyed that just works. Like I could see these people doing other sequels and I'd be totally fine with it. It's not going to get it because it didn't make enough at the box office. But man, like, and again, all female cast, all Asian cast, like, it's incredible what they pulled off, and it did fucking nothing. And it doesn't have anywhere near the critical consensus that this movie does. That's what I don't get it. So yeah. Like, do you have one of those movies? Because immediately I was just like, I'm the guy who watched like Better Off Dead and Billy Madison, and like, there's movies that are just like, if you showed this to another person, like some people are just like, oh God, this is juvenile, this is stupid, like this doesn't make any sense, and you just want to defend it, right? But like, this movie's not even that.
Yeah.
I
can't think of one off the top of my head where I was sitting there thinking, did I age out of this? I haven't had that in a long time, so I can't think of anything to give you as an example. But like you said, a comedy's like my bag, and so I'm curious. You got me curious enough to go see this movie now.
Yeah.
So that's my main mission next week. But like you, Better Off Dead, One Crazy Summer, man, like all those.
Yeah, Savage Steve Holland was like my guy.
Yeah, but you, like you said, you show those today. It's like you're having me watch this. Like,
yeah,
this
dancing hamburger. What's going on here?
Yeah, great.
But again, at least those are rooted in something we all can rally around. We're all like, we've all had that summer when you're young where you meet somebody and you're trying to have that summer romance thing. That makes a lot of sense. And you're with your dumb buddies and you're doing dumb shit. Those things all make sense. This movie just didn't gel with me at all because none of it was rooted in something that I thought was relatable. It was one of those movies, and I think I've said this about TV shows as well as movies, where it's like, you can't have everybody in the movie be crazy because then nothing gets set up correctly or works correctly. And this is almost, to a person, almost everyone's fucking crazy on some level. Like they either have some special skill or whatever. Like it's everybody's fucking crazy. It doesn't work that way. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just old school in that, or just old in fucking general, man. But I swear to God, like I haven't been this shaken, like I said, probably since Napoleon Dynamite, where I was like, why does everyone get this and I don't? So
yeah, no, like I said, I was the same with Napoleon Dynamite. I was the same way with Step Brothers. I saw that in the theater the first time. I'm like, yeah, it was okay. And then you watch it and you watch it and you watch it. Oh, and it's hysterical to me. So I don't know. Maybe it'll grow on you. Who knows? But
again, Step Brothers, right? Like two people, your parents are getting married. That's a very grounded. This is where I try to go for every time I go, well, but I watched this and that's crazy. And then I go, but this is rooted in this. This movie is not rooted. It's fucking amorphous. I don't get it. I need someone. I might have to challenge someone online to just like do a stream with us or something and just be like, what the fuck is this? Or maybe it's you. Maybe you're going to see the movie and you're going to be like, you're a fucking crazy person. I'm going to see it. So, but again, I want to know. I do. I want the early report card on where you landed. You started watching Asteroid City. Am I insane with how I felt about that movie?
No, it's and you said this is not a Shane movie, and I should have just taken you at your word and not even tried, but it's on Peacock. I have Peacock. I was like, you know what? Labor Day, there's nothing on. I'm sitting there watching reruns of Naked and Afraid. I'm like, all right, let me throw on this movie.
Right.
Jesus, man, like, good Lord. I couldn't make it through, and begrudgingly, I think I told you off the mic, I'll finish it because that's how I am.
Yeah.
But man, it's a tough watch. And I've always been, and I said this on this podcast, I'm 50-50 on Wes Anderson, man. Like, I like some of his films, some films. Again, I sit there, I'm like, why do the critics like this? I don't get it. Like,
Sure.
like I sit there like a dum dum. Am I a dum dum? Yeah and no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but this one, I'm like, it's a movie inside a play inside a movie that cross over with each other at times, and everyone just sits around talking to each other. And I was like, oh my God, it's like confusing and nothing happens.
But again,
and I'm
give
like,
me the point. That's all I was looking for. I was looking for, what's this cohesion? What is this a thing that we're all supposed to kind of rally around? Because that movie has moments. I don't know. I'm sure you've gotten to the alien stuff or whatever.
Yes.
That stuff was kind of funny. It's because it's kind of slapsticky. It's whatever. It's cool. It's whatever. And I would say Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson's conversations are quite good. And Steve Carell's kind of little character of kind of like running that little town has some moments that made me laugh out loud. But as a full-on experience, I want to know, like, where's the propulsion? What are we moving towards? What are we doing here?
Nothing. We're moving to nothing.
Right. And there's no, like, this is a criticism of this or whatever. Like, usually something, again, even if it's just baseline stuff, like a Moonrise Kingdom, where, again, it's kind of like a kid's love story a little bit on top of what's going on around them. But at least there's, like, that base that you come back to.
Right.
There's not a full real base with Asteroid City, and that's what bothered me. And I couldn't just, like, kind of follow along. And then they start getting meta and pulling out, and I'm like, this is just getting annoying.
Yeah, it got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's again, I'm sitting there like, why am I not getting this? Like, because I'm watching it, and then I'm scrolling through some of the reviews, and like some Rolling Stone guys, like, it's the best Wes Anderson film. Literally, that's what he said. And I'm reading his review. I'm like, what? Like, what am I missing? Like, I don't see anything that you're just writing about here. Like, I don't get it.
Right.
I'll be the first to admit when a movie goes over my head. Thank you, Christopher Nolan. But like,
sure. Yeah.
This is one of them. It's like, I'm missing out on something, man. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I know. And again, sometimes, even your most favorite directors swing and miss. So I don't want to say I'm never going to watch something from Emma Seligman and Rachel Sennett, or like another Wes Anderson movie. It's just, I don't think those have what it takes for me to like continue on and really enjoy myself. It didn't grip with me at all.
Right.
And similarly, I watched Polite Society, which is also on Peacock right now. That was a Sundance movie that got, again, very well reviewed, it seemed like, as well. I believe the Letterboxd score is probably closer to like 3.5 or something. Consistently like solid reviews. And that movie, I'm glad I stuck to the end, because the third act is the best part. But for what they set up and where it goes, it's another one of those, like, this is outlandish and not fully rooted to reality, and kind of tries to do a little bit of Get Out, sort of, but like in Indian culture, except like it doesn't have the motives, like the pure kind of motives that make sense, unless it makes more sense in that culture. But they didn't really drive that point home, I guess, in here, where it's like a young woman in the culture that makes, she's an Indian woman in London in a private school, where it's like, this pressure to be something great kind of a thing going on, which I totally get. She wants to be a stunt woman, and so she takes karate, and she knows like a lot of, moves, and tries to aspire to be like, a great stunt woman working on like a Marvel movie or something crazy, and that's like her thing. And her sister's an artist, but she dropped out of art school, and basically it turns into her having to save her sister from this family who wants to, kind of do this arranged marriage, and it gets bigger and bigger and crazier from there. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it turns into like just a full-on like heist and action movie at the end a little bit, but it takes so long to get to where it is, and also the motivations aren't the same as, like I said, with like a Get Out, where it's kind of a mystery of like how this is going on, what's going on exactly, what are the motives. And this tries to do that, but it just like it takes so long to be interesting and not off the rails that I was bored. I'm like, I really stopped around 2/3 of the way and going, I don't know if I can continue with this movie. And then again, the third act was the best part of the movie, which will make you feel better about the movie overall. But it's to me, it's not enough to recommend this movie. So you know, it's another one that was like, I'm just trying to mark stuff off my list, stuff that I needed to catch up. I wanted to see it during Sundance, but there wasn't enough available online access for me to see it. And yeah, I just
that's the biggest sin for me. That's the biggest sin a movie could commit is me being bored.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
totally.
I could take bad movies
or
like,
eye roll.
I could take
like one of the two. If you make me do either, it's bad news.
Yeah, I've sat through a lot of trash in my life, and I admit it. I love it, but like, don't bore me.
Sure.
Like, give me ridiculous, obscene, whatever you want to give me. I can roll with it, but to bore me, the biggest sin a movie commit. So once you said that, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm out. I'm out.
And to be more positive, I will end on a positive recommendation. This is a movie that's been getting kind of thrown around a lot of circles in the last couple months, especially now that it's officially on Hulu. I think people are catching up with it more and more. That is How to Blow Up a Pipeline, which is a very unique movie in the fact that it's an adapted movie from a book, but the book is a nonfiction book. So it's not like they basically crafted a movie, a storyline around the actual thoughts of like how you can actually blow up an oil pipeline. And you know, of course, so they built the motives, they built the characters, and the most impressive, and I've heard this from a lot of people too, so I'm not, you know, saying anything that has been out there, but like the fact that, again, that they created this whole cloth, that it's a very indie, low budget movie, and that they did such an impressive job in terms of its direction and editing of the propulsion of this movie that it feels like more of a crime movie than it is trying to be preachy about like oil companies and environmental issues and all these activism things and all that stuff. They really do a good job of showing like the effects of some of these things, and obviously climate change and all these things. They don't shy away from it, but the movie is mostly about like why these people are motivated and why they're in it for this, and also just the actual crime itself and how people learn how to make blasting caps off the internet. And in a weird way, it's some people, if you really wanted to be obnoxious about it, because it's not what the movie's about, but you could be like, you really want to show people how to do this, you know, and you really want to show, you know, kind of a how-to manual to be, you know, like almost like passing out the anarchist cookbook for people who are old. You know, like this is the modern version. Like, do we really want to do that? Do we want to pass this along? But the movie's not fully about that. It's mostly about like the why and the actual procedural of it and getting away with it or not getting away with it, like actually going through with it and what they have to do. And it's riveting. It's a really solid watch and doesn't belabor it. I think it's under 2 hours, I think, you know, so it's a solid, quick moving movie that feels almost like it should have been done by Steven Soderbergh, like more than just like, you know, an early, you know, I might even be a feature debut from like an indie filmmaker. So it's super impressive. And again, a lot of actors that you wouldn't know, and it's very small, but it is super impressive. So I would say if you have Hulu, check out How to Blow Up a Pipeline. So
cool.
I wanted to put it into my rankings to see where it actually lands, but I'm sure it's pretty solid, like top 15, top 20 of the year. So that's a good recommendation for me. Now I want to kind of see we can end now that we've done movies to death, right? Let's land with season finale of Justified City Primeval from you, because you spoke glowingly about it so far, but obviously sometimes finales can kind of color you in a different way. How did this end for you?
I had to sit with this one for a while. I did.
Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how divisive this miniseries or one-off series was, because critically it's 91% on Rotten Tomato. Audience scores 49%. That's a big gap.
Yeah.
That's a huge gap.
Yeah.
And most of the criticism is coming off of, well, he wasn't in the original story. They're just dropping the Raylan Givens in here. It doesn't make any sense why he's in Detroit, blah, 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 blah. I can understand that, because when you have 5 seasons of a show, you have time to flesh out characters and just flesh out storylines and make it bigger and better as the seasons go along. So I understand that. And you had the Walton Goggins character, Boyd Crowder, in here and in the first one. So I understand where they're coming from. I will say, so I watched the season finale, super excited for it. I will say, though, I hate to say this, just like the Equalizer ending, it was kind of anticlimactic. It really was.
Okay.
Because when you get the Boyd Holbrook character, who is so good in this series as like the just unstable, unhinged psychopath, sociopath, because that's what he is, man. That's what he is. So when you get the final confrontation between him and Raylan, is what you building this whole season up to. It's kind of a letdown. It was kind of a letdown. It really was. But overall, I still enjoyed the last episode. If you've seen the series or you're thinking about watching it, it's still worth a watch. And just wait. I don't want to say post credits because it's a TV show,
right?
But the last scene brings back an old favorite. And can hopefully launch us into another series with Raylan Givens and Timothy Olyphant playing the character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man, it's a big surprise. If you're a fan favorite of the original series, that last scene is going to get you amped up and juiced up. Like, all right, here we go. Let's go. Let's hit the ground running.
Okay.
Like I said, I enjoyed Timothy Olyphant's spin in this. I understand, because he did seem like a fish out of water being in Detroit. But again, I bypassed all that. And I thought about what you said, because I did say you don't need to watch the original series. You could just jump in here.
Right.
But I really sat on that sentiment for a while, because I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah, you might think it's slow and boring. And like, why do you love this show so much? So I'm almost scared to recommend it, not seeing the series, because I think the series would make you appreciate this season for what it is,
right?
If that makes any kind of sense.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I think if this is your first taste of Justified, quote unquote, you're like, yeah, I don't get the hype, you know, like, right. And I can see where you're coming from. I wouldn't be able to argue with you like, oh, you should like it because this, and that. I really think people would be better served to at least get a basic understanding of the character and just the world of Justified. And then I think you would appreciate the show a little better. I still enjoyed it. As a show ranking, I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Okay. Still high marks.
The end was, even for as a diehard fan that I am, the end was like, that's how you're going to end that confrontation? Okay.
Sure.
Moving on. Okay.
Well, maybe that's why I got turfed to the summer. You know, it's kind of one of those, you can catch up with it when you can, and, you know, think about the good times and enjoy the ride for how it is. But yeah, I've heard some things from people who are also diehard Justified people in my life that I've listened to either on podcasts or off mic, whatever, that kind of said a lot of the same things you're saying. So that kind of lines up. So don't feel like you're alone on that one. But yeah, for sure, I'm sure this means a lot more to people who definitely watched the series over time and cultivated some love for this specific character and what they're capable of. So yeah, I hear you. But I'm glad, I'm glad you enjoyed it, though. It was one of those, I'm sure, week to week, you got to enjoy something when we've been, maybe poo-pooing things like Ahsoka or whatever. Or,
I was going to say, it's still better than anything Disney Plus has put out in a long time.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Brutal. God damn brutal. But I will say, even though, they're owned mostly by Disney, Hulu Still
I know.
packing out some stuff. You are almost fully caught up with Only Murders. You only didn't watch today's episode. We're recording on a Tuesday night. I watched today's episode, and I'm still, riveted. I think where does this put us? This week's was episode 6, I think we said, or 5.
Yes, 6.
So I think episode 5 did a lot to really kind of lock me into this this particular season. And I think now we're on the rails that we're going to, keep moving from here on out.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I think I was 2 behind you when we recorded last week. So I finally got caught up. And I as I watched episode 4 and the end of, in the end of 3 and I watched episode 4, I was kind of coming around to your way of thinking. I'm like, yeah, I'm not digging this as much as the first 2 seasons. They're all detached from each other. They're not like together.
Right.
It's more of a Selena Gomez, Martin Short kind of vehicle at the moment. And I'm like, okay, but you're right. Episode 5 was like probably the best episode of the season so far.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And it kind of almost validates my theory of what I speculated last week about who the killer is.
Sure.
So, and Martin Short was, it was a great episode. So like you said, I think it got us back on track. I looked it up. I think it's 10 episodes. This season is 10 episodes,
yeah.
right?
They typically are.
So it's so we got 4 more to go. So, but it's back on track. I still like the season. I don't want people to think, oh my, but it compared to the first 2, it was lacking in certain elements the first 2 brought to the table.
Yeah, it's almost like my feelings on Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where I was like, if you take Rocket out of the nucleus and you don't get certain, there's just certainly less jokes, less humor, like all scattered throughout because he has that relationship with a lot of different characters within it. So it kind of changes the dynamic. So in this particular case, because Martin Short and Steve Martin are locked into trying to get a Broadway musical off the ground, so they're just busy doing stuff that isn't trying to solve a murder. So when Selena Gomez is kind of the only person who's like fully committed, and then she's kind of dealing with certain things on her end in her life as well, it kind of gets scattered. It kind of gets a little dark almost at times, which again, it's a murder show, but yeah, technically it's still a comedy though. So they work best when the 3 of them are in the room. And I think now hitting into the back half here, I think you're going to see them more in the room with each other over and over. It's just will the secrets consume them before the case gets to be even more bubbly than it has been to this point. So I think it's getting into that fever pitch. It's getting right into that. So I'm excited to see how this concludes. And with that, that is the conclusion of this episode. So thank you guys for listening. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, get into a nice 5-star review, light a candle, say the kindest of words and then send it out into the ether. That'd be lovely if you guys can do that. Upcoming, I still, we're going to still probably check in with some of our shows that we've mentioned over and over, but as mentioned, the only movie that seems to be like out in my face, which is hilarious, is that I'm sitting here waiting to see when I'm going to buy Taylor Swift's concert movie tickets.
I saw
which
that
I'm
today.
sure you might be in the throes of. I'm not sure. Your daughter's in that age where it could go either way. Is she a Swiftie?
Oh, she's a Tay-Tay fan, man.
Okay. All right. So we're all screwed. Every person in the world. I like Taylor Swift, so don't get me wrong, but like only, a handful or whatever. But to be around people who are fully pot committed singing along for like 2.5 hours, that might be a bit much. It might, it might have to be headphones in for a while. I don't know. Listening to something great like our podcast. So thanks to you, sir. Good job by you as always. And thank you guys for listening, and we'll be back next week with more recent activity.